Hi, I'm Gary Korb from CigarAdvisor.com, and I'm sitting here with some of my humidors. I have a new humidor, which I bought a few weeks ago, and I'm going to show you today how to set it up. I get a lot of questions about humidors, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you at least how I set it up. It's a Bally 4 humidor. It has an analog hygrometer on the outside. It has a top tray, cedar tray. Inside is a humidifier. There you go. And we're going to look a little more closely at it, but I just wanted you to see some of the features on this humidor. It's really nice. I moved my humidors out of the way so you could see some of the things that I use to set up my humidor. Of course, the first thing you need is the humidor. You'll also need a bottle of distilled water. Distilled water, not distilled drinking water, the distilled water for irons and things like that. You'll also need a sponge. This is a common ordinary kitchen sponge. It has the rough surface on it for scrubbing pots, I suppose, but that's not important. What really matters is this part right here. And I have a paintbrush, and I'll show you why I use that in a minute. And of course, we have this dish, which we're going to use to place our humidifier in. And you really want to soak that pretty good. So this is a standard humidifier. It has a green Oasis foam inside of it, and they work pretty well for the most part. We're going to put that in there. We're going to close this up, and we're going to soak the humidifier. Okay, so what I did was I took the humidifier that came with the box, and I'm just going to pour that distilled water right into it. In fact, it's better if I probably turn it upside down, and it really gets in there. I'm just going to let that soak. I'm going to let that water soak up for at least 10-15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. You want to make sure that it's really absorbed. It really sucks up as much water as possible. So we're going to just let that sit for a while. Okay, I've turned the humidor around so you could see what I'm going to do next. This is a glass top humidor. It's my first, and it was a good deal. I got it at a famous smoke shop. And one thing you want to check when you buy a humidor is you want to have a little bit of a swoosh, whoosh, whatever, when you close it. And what's happening is, there you go, it's forcing the air out. Now, this is a little bit loose. I'm not crazy about this. So what I'm going to do is something that I don't normally do. I'm going to wet with my brush the portion over here, because I want that wood to swell up a little bit. I don't believe in wetting the entire inside of the humidor. I'm really not a big fan of that. But I'm going to do it just on this section, because I feel if I can swell the wood up a little bit, which will happen anyway as the moisture builds up in the humidor over time, this will help give it a little bit of a head start and will give it a better seal. You really want a good seal when you buy a humidor. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this water here, and I'm going to just very lightly just brush that right in there like that. And the thing about using a brush is it really gets into the grain of the wood, and I like that. So this is just an acrylic brush. It's clear. I got it at Home Depot, wherever you can get it. And just getting in there, I'm getting all the spots that affect this lid, especially right here on this side, and I'm going to do it right here. I want to get these pieces right here, because I want them to just swell up a little bit. You don't want to overdo it. So let's see how our humidifier is doing. Oh wow, it's really heavy. That's good. It's soaked in really, really good. Okay, I think that's all we really need for this. So we're going to leave that there. And you always want to have some paper towels around when you're using water, of course. So let's just move this gently out of the way. And I'm going to just let that sit on that paper towel right now. Okay, now that we have the section here all nice and wet, notice I didn't do the inside. we can go ahead and start the rest of the process. And it's really very simple to set up a humidor. What we're going to do is, now that this is soaked, you can see it's really not dripping that much. It is a little bit, but it's really wet, and that's what we want. I'm going to put it in its place, and it goes right in this slot here. Now, like I said, I've never had a glass top humidor before, so I'm not used to having the humidifier in the bottom. You can see it still has a lot of water in it. I'm going to try to shake that out as best as I can. And then I'm going to put it right in here. Very nice. There you go. Well, that was easy. Okay, now comes the big step. I'm going to take this plastic bag and I'm going to put it on the bottom right here. Okay? Now there's a reason for that. It's pretty obvious, I suppose, but we're going to take our sponge and we're going to soak it up with this distilled water that I used for the humidifier, which is fine. And it's a little green, right? And it's a little foamy. That always happens with a new sponge. So I'm going to make sure it's soaked up real good. But you see how it's dripping? I don't want that. It's way too much water. So we're going to squeeze it so it's still really saturated, but not dripping with a lot of water, unless I shake it, obviously. But you just want it really wet. So now I'm going to put it on the bag in here because I just don't want it to leak into the wood. That's all. Now, a lot of people use a shot glass. I've never been a proponent of that. I don't think it works. I think it takes way too long. The reason I like to use a sponge is what I'm going to do is close the top. Oh, look at that. I can feel it already. Already the wood is swelling. Look at that. Wow. I can feel how tight it is. I'm going to leave that in there for about 3 days. Okay, now that we put the sponge in the box, let's take a look at the hygrometer. Right now it's showing just below 40, which is obviously way too low. Over the next few days, as the sponge emits this moisture, you're going to see that needle go higher and higher and higher, probably as high as 85%. Now ideally, you want to keep that arrow just about between 66, 67 average. That's where I kind of like it. I like it a little closer to 65, not closer to 70 where a lot of people like it. So that's pretty much it. All you have to do is follow what I showed you. It only takes a few minutes, and in about 3 days this humidor should be ready to put in your cigars. Thanks a lot. And don't forget to check in at cigaradvisor.com for all your cigar news and information.